YouTube, Spigman's Aquariums. Today I'm teaching you guys how to properly change a canister filter. So let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to do is turn the power to our canister filter off. For me, that's as simple as a switch because I like to put all my stuff on switches. For you, it may be unplugging, but the main thing is to make sure it is completely off. Always make sure the output is completely off before starting. That way you don't make a mess. Now what I like to do is put a towel down here because sometimes sometimes there is a little bit of water that's leaked, but the easiest way to do it, most filters these days have these. I know this table's kind of in the way here, I'll try to slide it over. But the hoses come in. Most of them you can break the siphon by flipping that lever up, okay? And then you just pull straight up. It's kind of hard to do one-handed, so you have to bear with me. You pull straight up, but see that residual water down there? Right there? That's why I like to have that hose there, or that towel there. That way you can lay the hoses on it. Now, your canister just needs disconnected from the outlet, and you are good to go. We'll move it on, and I will see you guys in the kitchen. Okay, we're in the kitchen now. Now, an important thing to note, when you're carrying a canister filter, always carry by, you can see the line right there where the top of it sits on the actual canister. Always carry below that. Grip down here. If you carry above it, you can see, I'll just use the cord for example here to pull up a little bit. You can see how that separates ever so slightly. Well, if you're carrying like this, like gripping the top of it, like yo, that'll pull that loose, and that can damage that gasket that's in there. So always carry down low like this. Now the next thing we're going to do is just pop our canister open. In case I haven't mentioned it before, I don't think I have. My canister is the Aquatop CF500. So this is how mine comes apart. And then we're going to, it's kind of hard to do this one-handed here. We're going to pop this off. There we go. And we're going to reveal all the gunk. That thing sticking down on mine is a UV sterilizer. I don't even have a light bulb in there. I don't use it that often. And then obviously that reveals all of your trays. You're going to want to have some towels and stuff out. My towels are loaded down with all my other decor and stuff. But you're going to want to have some towels out and stuff because when you pull these out, there's still going to be a lot of water in there. So I'm going to put down some towels and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay guys, so once you have everything open, I lay out all my trays. I've already thrown away some of my pads here. I'll hold one up so you can see it. These are just, these are shot. I've been using these for a long time. I've scrubbed them 100 times. So I'm putting some new ones in today. But normally you would rinse those off. Now there is a debate. Do you use regular tap water? Do you use established fish water? I've seen some people, they just take them out and they rinse them in the dirty fish water right here, get them cleaned out, and then they put them back in. I've seen other people use clean tap water. Honestly, I've done it both ways, and I've tested my parameters after cleaning with tap water. The theory behind it is if you use tap water, sometimes the chlorine can kill the bacteria, and in turn stress the nitrogen cycle. I've done it both ways. I have found nothing to produce evidence that that is... I mean, if it happens on such a small scale that it doesn't really affect the nitrogen cycle too terribly. Because I never found any fluctuations within my tank or anything like that. But if you prefer, by all means, just use, once the canister's empty, just use the dirty fish water that's in there, providing it's not too chunky and stuff like that. I mean, you got to be able to rinse the stuff clean, but either use it out of the canister, use it out of the filter, whatever you want, or out of the tank, whatever you want to do, or you can just straight up use tap water if you're comfortable with that. Again, whichever way is completely fine. I don't think it truly matters. But clean all your stuff. And remember, lay them out the way you want them to go in, that way it's easy. I remember the first time I took my canister apart, I thought it mattered how it went back together. And it kind of does to a small extent. You want your coarse, mechanical filtration on the bottom and stuff. See, I haven't cleaned these yet. But lay them out in a manner that you'll remember. Try not to make a mess. Be nice to your wife. Don't trash up her countertop. And then when you're ready, go ahead and dump your canister and start cleaning your media. Okay, now when you're done rinsing or dumping the canister out, you know, it's going to look pretty nasty. You're going to have chunks of crap that was stuck in the bottom of it. So what we're going to do is you want to go to your shower, your sink, your outdoor spigot, whatever you got. In my case, I'm using it in my my sink. And we're just going to rinse all that crap off all the way around. You know, get it nice and clean. Nice and clean. Get all that crap out. So, I will be back with you guys when I have mine clean. Okay, and after you have rinsed everything, you can see I'm still using my old mechanical filtration. The really fine mesh stuff, as I showed you, was bad, so I'm replacing that stuff. But these mechanical things, man, they'll go forever. I scrub them kind of lightly. You know, I want to get them unclogged. I don't want to rinse all the bacteria off of it, so I don't take a freaking pressure washer to it, alright? But get it clean. And then I'm also adding another mechanical sponge to it. Some of these, as you can tell on this Aquatop, there is a directionality to it, so be mindful of that. And as I start to get them put back together, I take them one by one, and I put them down in my nice clean canister filter. Now, something to keep in mind, there is a direction. You can see these holes right here is where the UV sterilizer goes on my filter. So there is a direction that the lid has to go, so be mindful of that. I always put the first, it's really hard to do one-handed, but I'm going to try to show you. I always, before I put the first one in, kind of line it up. See, as I took it out, it's not lining up with the bottom thing, so it would actually go on like this. That puts my little UV sterilizer in the back corner here. So it's really hard, but just be mindful of that when you're doing your own tanks. So this would actually go in like that. But just be mindful of that with your own canister filter. It's really hard to demonstrate one-handed here. But that's something to be cognizant of. I'm going to go ahead and clean the rest of my stuff. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. You guys know how to clean stuff. It's no big deal. Just rinse stuff off. You know, there's my bag of carbon. There's my bio balls. I'm going to add these to it, and I'm going to put it all back together, and then I'm going to hook it back up. And I'm going to bring you guys along with me and show you what I do once I finally get everything back together. Okay, guys, I have mine all back together. Before you put the lid back on, or the top back onto the canister, the head, whatever you want to call it, look at your O-ring. This right here, mine is, they'll be kind of rubber. Mine runs right here. Look at this gasket, O-ring, whatever you want to call it. It runs along the side. Make sure it's not twisted, kinked, cracked, anything like that. Always examine that every time you clean your canisters, because if you don't, you're going to end up with a leaky canister at one time or another. I mean, there's Eheim, Fluvalve, there's tons of reputable companies out there. I'm a little more cautious with my Aquatop. It hasn't quite proven itself to me yet, although the year that I've had it has been super awesome, but it's kind of getting at that mark where you might have problems with leaking and stuff like that. So I always am cognizant of that. And you guys should be too. Even if you have name brand filters, check the gasket. Save yourself some time. You may come home one day and find that the tank is drained. So check that out. If it needs replaced, you can find them online. You can get them at your local pet store. It's not a big deal. Alright, I'm going to shut this baby up and we're going to hook it back up. Alright guys, one thing I did forget to mention here that I'm going to throw out there. Some canisters say don't fill them up, some canisters say do. I always fill mine up before I rehook it up. It just helps with the priming of the canister. I know some companies are like auto priming, stuff like that. This may be the way you want to do it, it may not be. For me, it's the best way. So just something to think about there. Normally you can use like a little, like a Python or something if you have one, but I'm so lazy I just use my, my sprayer out of my hose. But yeah, that's what's up. I'm going to fill it up and then I'll close it up. So I just wanted to show you guys that little trick for me. This is not an auto priming canister, so that may be the difference. Okay guys, now once we have the top back on, we're going to push down with even pressure across the thing. On my tank, it'll just kind of snap in place when you have it right. But it should be really easy. You shouldn't have to force anything. See, it should just be like that. You know what I mean? If you got to force something, then it's probably not seated right, and it's probably going to leak. So it should just snap in like that. Go ahead and put your top back on, and you're almost ready to fill it and prime it and get it turned back on. All we got to do is connect our hoses. I'll show you that in 1 second. Okay guys, I have my canister put back in place. What I'm going to do now is put my hoses back on top. They just slide right in there. Push them down nice and tight. It's hard to do with one hand. And then when you flick that lever down, it starts to siphon automatically. I've already plugged mine in, but again, mine's on a switch. So I'll turn my switches back on. And you can hear it kind of cracking. At this point in time, most of yours will probably, I think Fluvols, all that stuff is self-priming. But unfortunately my Aquatop, I have to give it a couple pushes of the old priming button here. And you should be able to see bubbles flowing through. And it'll start to expel water. We'll get all the air out of the system. And it's going. You'll hear this circulating water a little bit. Hopefully the camera's picking up the audio here. And then it should start running quietly. And that's how you service, clean, change your media and your canister filter. And then of course when you're done, you always want to check for leaks, wipe all the water off the top. And that's it guys. Thanks for watching.